Hey guys, so I didn't get a chance to talk about this today or yesterday when it happened. And of course, it's the weekend, so you got to find opportunities to do stuff like this. I wanted to come on here and talk about the fact that this past Friday, 2 days ago, um, basically the PSN, the PlayStation Network, went down. And I don't know if that meant that you couldn't access, apps like YouTube and Spotify and Paramount Plus and Disney Plus. I would assume you probably had an issue with those as well. But the the real issue though was for those that depend on the PlayStation Network. Those that have things like the PlayStation Plus, a PlayStation Premium, a PlayStation Essential, that allows you to download games not just from the PS5 catalogs, but also PS4, PS3, PS2, PS1, as well as some other arcade games and stuff, and some homemade games. And apparently what happened is not just locally or nationally here in the States, but globally, the whole network just went kaput. It just went kaput. And nobody knew exactly what happened. And Sony just gave a vague answer at their PlayStation Twitter account where they acknowledged that we understand some people are having problems logging in or something like that. And they weren't updating anybody outside of that on what was happening. They weren't telling them exactly what was the cause or anything like that. And it really got under a lot of people's skin to the point that people were venting, yes, venting, expressing, if you will, the frustrations by saying, oh, we're going to trade in our PS5. Oh, we're going to, just focus on getting the Xbox now, or we're going to trade in our PS5 for an Xbox Series X and stuff like that, and or oh, we're gonna trash our PS5, and all sorts of ridiculous stuff, and and it's like I read this kind of stuff online, and I'm like, seriously, you you're actually going to trash or trade in near $500, well, over $500, uh, or $400 console? That's what you're gonna do? You're gonna do it the same with the Pro version now that's coming out and everything, or is out, I should say. You're gonna do it with that. You're gonna do it with the Pro version along with the physical disc attachment that you can get separately. It's like, really, you're gonna do that? And I'm like, look, I get you're angry, but come on, come up with better material. Come up with better material, if you will. But look, I'm not saying they didn't have a right to be angry. They were. They did have a right to be angry because of the fact that, again, Sony just was very vague with them as to what was happening. Nobody knew what was going on, and they wanted answers. They wanted refunds, actually, because depending on what you're spending a month on a month or a year, I should say, on the PlayStation service of your choice, you feel like you're being chipped. Not chipped, but jibbed, if you will. You feel like you're being jibbed out of what you're paying for, because again, you're paying for access to PS5 games, PS4 games, PS3, PS2, PS1, and it's like, what is going on here now? Apparently there is some, I guess you could say, constellation. I wouldn't say constellation, but some, I guess you could say, what's the word I'm looking for? Consolidation, if you will. Basically, there's something going on to where I think Sony's going to pay him back, or at least somebody, through Sony is going to pay him back, kind of give him something as a way of saying we're sorry as to what happened. But yeah, it looks like I don't know if that's going to help. I should say, I don't know if that's going to help. But yeah, even if it, compensation. That's the word I'm looking for. Compensation. I don't know if this compensation is going to help them or not. It sounds like it's going to be a discount or something. I'm not really sure. I do know that Krispy Kreme donuts was offering free donuts for people that day and such. And even GameStop was taking a shot at the situation, saying, see, I bet you like physical discs now, because people that were commenting on this in a positive light, or a silver lining light, if you will, they were saying that, hey, we have no problems with our PS5. Yeah, it's offline, but guess what? We still can play our physical disc, or hey, we can still play the games we downloaded that don't require online service. And when I'm talking online service, I'm talking multiverses, I'm talking Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, games like that, among others. And that was the main issue. It's like a lot of people couldn't do the Master Duel. A lot of people couldn't do the multiverses or other games in that category of, needing an online connection to play. They couldn't do that. So it was a problem. It was an issue and everything. I mean, you do need the PlayStation Network to sign in. There's no doubt you do need to sign in with it. And that was an issue as well. I mean, yeah, you can still play your physical games and all that, but you can only do it as a guest. So I understand the frustration and everything, again, that people feel when they express themselves and saying the things that I mentioned earlier. But should have Sony given a direct answer, or at least updated people, instead of telling them, hey, go check our webpage for instead of telling them, hey, just check our webpage every few hours and see what's going on? No. They should have went through their Twitter account and updated people, went to the emails of those that they have that have accounts, and emailed them on what was going on. So that way they would be pretty much, I guess you can say, compensated for what was happening. They can have a better understanding. Now, again, nobody knows exactly what's happened. Sony hasn't given a direct answer. Nobody knows if maybe they were doing a routine maintenance that was meant to only last for maybe a few hours, maybe an hour at most, and somebody hit something when they weren't supposed to, and it caused everything to shut down. Nobody really knows. Nobody really knows if maybe there was a group that hacked it, like several groups had done before with the PlayStation Network, with the Microsoft Xbox Network. I mean, the most infamous one that everybody went back to when it came to this was what happened on Christmas Day, when people got their PS4s, people got their Xbox Ones, and all of a sudden both services, I wouldn't say simultaneously, but almost around the same time frame, went down. And it was like, what's going on? And then you find out that this group that came out and mentioned who they were, you find out that they were responsible all because they wanted to be hired on by, I think it was Microsoft or somebody, Sony, maybe both. They wanted to be hired on, and the way they wanted to be hired on is by demonstrating, hey, we can hack into your systems. You want us to help you restore, bring us on. And it's like that's probably the most ridiculous way to get a job, or to get hired for a job. But that was the last time something like this happened, and it happened for a longer amount of time, from what I understand. It happened for several weeks. It's like the fixing, like the maintenance work to get it back online was up and down, and everything. And people could still play their games; they just couldn't play online. That was the major issue. And the same was here. I mean, and the same was here. With PSN, with the PlayStation 5 and 4. And it's like, it's like basically anybody that relied on the online service to log in, or if they could log in still but couldn't go online through the network, it just felt like a kick in the you-know-what as to what was going on. And the kick felt even worse because Sony wasn't given a straight answer as to what was happening. Whether it was maintenance that went wrong, somebody pushed something when they shouldn't have, and it caused everything to go down, or it was hackers. We don't know. Some even joked it could be, what's happening with the U.S. aid. And that might have been what caused it, but I don't think that's it. I don't think that was a reason. But, yeah, a lot of people were not happy with Sony, and obviously Sony heard them loud and clear. The PlayStation department heard them loud and clear, and they're like, look, we'll compensate with you on what happened. And looks like they're doing something with, individually, as well as with the help of people, other third-party companies, to try to compensate the users and everything for what occurred. But yeah, it's really just, it's just something that, you know, sometimes things like this happen. If you're somebody that depends more on the digital age of stuff, where you can just watch a movie or play a game wherever you want, or play a game and watch a movie without having to insert a disc, it's like now you're starting to realize that, well, maybe physical media still has a place around here, and we just, have to accept that. Like, you have to look at it this way: digital media is good, streaming stuff and all that is good, but only when you're on the go. You should look at it like the physical stuff is meant for home. That's when it benefits the most. You're on the road. That's when its portability of digitalness and all that comes into play better. So I think this needs to be a lesson learned of appreciate physical media as an at-home advantage, and appreciate the digital side of things for the on the road, on the go advantage, if you will. But, if this is a wake-up call, hopefully, it's one that people will, listen to, and those that have gotten the digital version of the PS5 will now go and get maybe the attachment for physical media, so they'll have that physical media with them of the same game they got digitally, just in case something like this happens again. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, and hopefully Sony will eventually, very soon, give us straight answers to what happened over this weekend. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are on all this. Comment down below, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere here on the internet. Find me on all your favorite audio and video podcast affiliates like iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Audible, Overcast, Spotify, you name it, Radio Public, you name it. If it's got a podcast, you'll probably find mine on there as well. Check me out at VENMO.com at BWRoses, Rumble.com at BWRoses, Odyssey.com at BWRoses. Find me at DeviantArt.com at BVW1979, InkBuddy.net at BWRoses. Check out the Venmo and the Cash App to help support there as well. Check out my Patreon at BWRoses. And also check out the Teespring shop for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. And also, check me out at Twitter/X at BWRoses and at Blue Sky at BWRoses. But guys, give me your thoughts on this whole situation. What were your thoughts, being someone that might own a PS5 and a PS4? What were your thoughts when the PlayStation Network went down? Were you still able to play games that you had already downloaded that didn't necessarily need, the PSN or the PlayStation Network to play? Did you have trouble logging in, period? What were your thoughts? And do you think maybe this is going to make people appreciate physical media even more, to where physical media is looked at as an at-home advantage and the digital version is more an advantage on the road? Let me know, and until then, I'll talk to y'all later.